Dark feminine energy is all about breaking free from the limits that you have been placed in for so long, breaking out of that cage full of shame, guilt, suppression, all the things that women are faced with in today's society, right? Due to the patriarchy. Lilith is the ultimate feminine symbol of dark feminine energy, right? Because she broke out of that suppression. She did not submit to Adam. She is seen as a rebel. She is seen as evil, mysterious, but she's also the ultimate embodiment of dark feminine energy. And that's what this video is going to be about today, because I would love to help you guys channel your dark feminine energy. Lilith is the perfect example of this, and we all have Lilith within our astrology in our charts. So for this video, you will be needing your birth chart. I recommend the website Astrology. Please don't use CoStar. Please, I beg of you not to use CoStar. That is beyond us now, okay? We're in 2025. We're moving on to the real astrology, which is on astroseek.com, which I will link down below. This is not sponsored. I just very much like the website, and all astrologers do. But everybody has a house that Lilith goes through, but also a placement that Lilith is in. Today, in this video, I'm going to be talking about the placement, the astrology sign that your Lilith is probably going to be in. So, for example, my Lilith is in Gemini. So Lilith embodies your shadow side, right? And to channel your dark feminine energy, you do have to face your shadows. So for me, I had to face my shadows that Lilith and Gemini faces, right? I had to work through that, channel and alchemize all that pain to transmute it and ultimately evolve into my dark feminine energy. How do you know if you're in your dark feminine, right? Well, that could be a whole other video, but to summarize, you will know if you're in your dark feminine once you walk away from situations that you don't feel comfortable in, that has done you wrong. The minute you feel disrespected, you're out. The minute that you feel powerful from walking away from that situation, you have channeled your dark feminine. But also saying no to things, right? You don't have to say yes to everything. You're no longer a people pleaser. You're not submitting to men. You are going to be the powerful one, okay? We're not submitting to any man. It is your world, okay? And the men revolve around you, not the other way around. So that's when you're truly in your dark feminine. Also, you may notice that you are synced with the full moon. So usually when you are ultimately channeling your dark feminine, you will start to bleed on the full moon or around that time, which I started doing. And now I feel very much like in tune with the dark feminine, because I did walk away from a situation where I was being treated very unfairly by someone that I very much loved. But you know, that's a few stories back. We can look at my video from like 2 or 3 videos before this where I, talk about what I went through. I had to sit through a lot of shadows to get to the point of walking away. And still to this day, I'm facing my shadows, but I have ultimately channeled my dark feminine, and that's why I'm here today, because I wanted to talk about this. I'm gonna have all the timestamps listed below, so whatever sign your Lilith is in, just go down to the timestamps. You don't have to sit through this whole video, obviously, and your Lilith will be in the timestamp. We're gonna start with Aries, obviously the first sign of the zodiac, the youngest of the zodiac because it's the first. So Aries, I will talk about your Lilith, your shadow side. If you have this placement, usually you want to be a leader. You are someone who's bold. You want to be seen. You get what you want. Aries is the energy of like just so much fire and rage. And Aries don't like to wait around. They are very impatient, right? This is just the summary of Aries in general, not just in Aries Lilith. However, with the shadow side in Lilith, Aries can feel unworthy, right? Because you are usually feeling competitive to other people. You may compare yourself to others' success in life and even your physical attributes as well. So that is a shadow that you must face, right? You must face the shadow of impatience and using your anger in the right way. So a lot of times Aries, they just have that anger that's uncontrollable. So to face that shadow, you have to sit in it and see where you are being extremely emotionally, out of control. And also to learn how to control that rage and channel it and transmute it, right? The whole point of alchemy is to transmute the pain. So using that rage to create is perfect for alchemization. That's what all of this is about. It is the perfect time for creation, is to use that anger. So that is what you can use in your dark feminine to channel that, right? Channel that rage into creation. Then you will alchemize all of that pain. But also, this is going to help you be seen. This is going to help you become a leader, as the Aries likes to be. Aries is so bold, so this is going to help you step into that boldness that you so desire. Fear of unworthiness just has to be faced, right? Look within yourself and see the parts of you that feel unworthy, and work with that to then love yourself first before you love anybody else. That is what dark feminine energy is about, right? We're not giving that love to other people more than ourselves. We're pouring it into ourselves. So with Aries, that is a primal focus. Now let us move on to Taurus, Lilith and Taurus. Taurus is about the luxuries of life, right? It is a Venus-ruled sign. So pleasure, luxuries, just abundance and comfort as well. Taurus loves comfort, but that is also where the shadow side comes in, because that comfort zone that you stay in is probably the biggest cage that you keep yourself in. As a Lilith in Taurus, you may not be speaking up. You may be staying in a comfortable spot not to upset other people, and you may also just stay there because you may not feel like you are worth more, right? Taurus wants the nicer things in life. Taurus wants to be comfortable, but also getting what they want. Taurus wants to be comfortable in their own skin, and you're never going to be comfortable truly in your own skin until you face your shadows. Lilith and Taurus may have a fear of lack, a fear of scarcity, and this comes with a lot of material items as well, because Taurus does love their material items. So that is a shadow that we will have to be working on with Lilith and Taurus, because you have to kind of work out of that material abundance. Noticing the abundance that already lies within you and around you, even just the material world, the abundance of the earth, right? This is an earth sign. Connect with nature, connect with the abundance of nature, the trees, the plants, everything. So this is where your abundance will truly start to build up within yourself, and that will reflect your external reality. But also, this is where you'll start to build up the safety that you need within yourself before you seek it externally within material items, right? And within money. Facing the shadow of laziness, that is something that the Taurus is stereotyped to be lazy, and oftentimes that is the shadow that you also have to work with as well. So this is going to be a great shadow to face, because to be in our dark feminine, you actually have to get uncomfortable. You have to be comfortable with the uncomfortable and speaking up and standing in your truth. That is what dark feminine is all about. So breaking out of comfort zones within your own realm will help you step into that. Filling the void with material items, food, all those things is where you'll start to look at how you're filling in those empty spots in your life with those things and start to find it within yourself. We move on to Lilith in Gemini, which is my personal placement, and it's kind of crazy how this has came into my life. It played so well into my life. How I finally got into my dark feminine was actually by facing my own shadows within my Gemini Lilith. And for that, as a Gemini Lilith, that is to stand in your truth. The ultimate thing Gemini Liliths need to stop doing is to stop caring about what other people are thinking. Gemini Liliths are so analytical. You're basically looking at what everyone else is thinking. You get stuck in this world where you're stuck in other people's perception of you. You don't speak up for that reason as well. You start to people please a bit, and that's the cage that you put yourself in. Gemini Liliths are usually prone to being misunderstood for this reason as well. The thing with this placement, the shadow side that you have to face is also to use your tongue with discernment. Gemini Liliths are known for having a sharp tongue, but the problem is that we tend to use it in the wrong time, wrong place. So that is a shadow that you'll have to sit with and work on, right? To use your sharp tongue in the dark feminine way of not spilling too much information, being more mysterious, but using it in situations where you are truly being done wrong, where someone is disrespecting you. When you are making decisions about your life, you have to stop thinking about what other people are thinking, right? Because that is the thing that Gemini Liliths do. You always think about how other people are going to feel if you make a certain decision, but you have to think about what you will feel like at the end of the day. That is when you'll ultimately channel your dark feminine energy. When you stand in your own truth and also speak up about it, but also stop considering everything that you do from other people's lenses. Truly, truly step into your dark feminine. This is where you will use your intelligence and your wit. This is what Gemini is all about, right? Gemini is a very curious, intelligent, witty sign. So that is something that you can channel ultimately to be in your dark feminine. Now we move on to Lilith in Cancer. Now your shadow side, I feel like, is what is typical of Cancer, where you are overextending yourself all the time. You overextend yourself for so many different people in so many ways, and it ends up getting you walked all over. I also have an anxious attachment style where you do get very codependent on other people, and that is a shadow that we'll have to face, right? Sitting in the uncomfortability of being with yourself, but also choosing yourself before other people, because you tend to have this intuition, right? Cancers are very intuitive, very psychic, but also super caring. And when you become so caring about everyone, you start to think about their needs before yourself. And this is where Cancer gets seen as maybe manipulating sometimes, because they will end up overextending themselves and then they'll be passive about it, and then they'll get angry because they did that. And you know, it's not communicated well. So that's why I feel like this is where you have to really sit in the shadows of not choosing other people over yourself, communicating your needs properly, and communicating when things are actually bothering you and when you don't actually want to do something for somebody, and to naturally just step back, take a step back, put all that energy of nurturing to yourself. You need to be nurtured more than anybody else. So that is when you'll ultimately channel your dark feminine energy, because once you start to nurture yourself, you'll start to love yourself more and more every single day. And then you'll step into that power of naturally being nurturing, but with a limit, right? Nurturing, but also powerful. With Lilith and Cancer is that you have to kind of face that abandonment wound as well. I feel like these individuals tend to be kind of like Libras, where you relationship hop, because you kind of have this codependency issue. And that's why this is very important, right? You have to sit with yourself, and I would say go by the water. You know, naturally, you guys are connected to the water and the moon. I would say to start working with the moon, but also the water as well. Spending time near any body of water, even in your shower, like take showers with intention, right? Take baths with intention. We move on to Leo. So with Leo, so your shadow side might be that you tend to be a little bit selfish, and in the wrong ways, right? In dark feminine energy, we want to be selfish, but in the right way, where we're not hurting other people when they haven't done anything wrong to us, right? So that's what Leo kind of has to work with. Also the fear of change as well, because Leo is a fixed sign. So having a Lilith here, kind of like Taurus, you're probably afraid of big changes in your life. Leo is ruled by the sun. Leo wants to be seen. Leo wants to be heard. Leo loves attention. So having a dark feminine placement here with a Lilith in Leo is to receive all those things, to still be the light, but also not to overshare yourself, not to overextend yourself, not to take over the spotlight completely, because that is not dark feminine, right? Dark feminine is more mysterious. Dark feminine is more subtle and magnetic, whereas you might be somebody who's not using that magnetizing aura, you know, you might be just too out there. So that is a shadow that you kind of have to face with, where you start to work on your magnetism and have the attraction come to you. Leo energy sometimes does not follow the affirmation, I don't chase, I attract. You guys be chasing. So this is where you will take a step back and you'll start to attract instead of chasing, working on that selfishness as well. A lot of Leo Lilith natives can't really handle criticism either, right? When someone gives them criticism, it is usually taken the wrong way. So with this placement, your shadows that you will also have to work on is taking criticism from other people and learning how to work with it and alchemize it. Even if their criticism is wrong, this is what the point of alchemization is to not be bothered by what other people are saying about you, and to also alchemize any pain that you have. If they are critical about something that might be true and it strikes your ego, then that is something that you have to work on, right? It might be true, so you might have to just accept that truth, alchemize the pain that you felt from it, and step into your dark feminine after that. Because once you sit with all of that criticism, you will then start to realize you can handle everything. And criticism isn't always bad. It's always something that you could keep working on. It's growth. So this is just you stepping into more of your growth era, because you deserve to be seen and heard. You do deserve to be in the spotlight, right? So these things will magnetize and come to you instead of you looking for it once you work with your dark feminine. We move on to a Virgo Lilith, which I've heard is more of a tougher placement to have. So shout out to you guys for having this placement. But with having a Lilith here, a lot of your shadow probably has to do with you being so hard on yourself and being a perfectionist, even when it comes to your own personality traits, your looks, just everything that is within you, right? And when you keep focusing on what's wrong, then you'll never achieve perfection, right? You'll never be happy with the moment that you're truly in. So that's where a lot of your shadow side might come out, because you're constantly looking for something better and it never really manifests, because it's like this never-ending ladder that you're on, where you're trying to strive for perfection, and perfection doesn't truly exist, you know? Perfection is just a concept, and it depends on what other people think is perfect and what you think is perfect. So that's why it's kind of a never-ending ladder, and something that you have to face is letting go, just completely letting go of everything and surrendering to change, surrendering to what will naturally happen. Highlighting all of your flaws is not going to help you out in any way. So once you start to see your flaws as positives, that's when you'll start to love yourself, right? They won't be flaws anymore. They're just characteristics about you. So focusing more on self-love, grounding, like with all the earth signs, I very much recommended doing some grounding work, going out in nature, and really becoming one with the world and the universe, because you are an earth sign at the end of the day, and earth is going to help you out in that sense of healing you. So having your dark feminine here is to break free from the chains of perfectionism and to speak up when you want to speak up, but also not to keep caging yourself with your own flaws and insecurities, because that manifests. People are able to see that fear, right? So if you keep on showing up insecure, other people will notice, and that's not ultimately showing any dark feminine qualities, because that's not confidence. So that's the shadow that you will have to be working with and facing. And once you do, you're going to become unstoppable, and you're going to really execute things in amazing ways. And that's the superpower that Virgo has. Like Beyonce, for example, right? Like that is just an insane superpower that Virgos have, because once they create and step into that energy, it is insane what they can create. We move on to Libra, and kind of like Virgo, actually, Libra has a lot to do with perfectionism as well, but in a different sense. Whereas Libra is more focused on how other people are perceiving them. Having a Lilith here means that you just have to stop caring about what other people think and start to see yourself as the ultimate power. And you may overextend yourself as well, where you're trying to make everybody happy, but you're not doing what you truly want to do, which is kind of passive aggressive. So that's why in your shadow side, you also have to face this fear of loneliness. You also have to face this fear of letting other people down sometimes, even though you don't want to, but like you have to choose yourself. Facing your shadows also comes with creating boundaries. So having a Lilith here means that you're going to start creating some boundaries. And with that, you will start to feel more of your power, because when you don't have boundaries, other people are just going to keep crossing it and you're never going to be happy. Once you set those boundaries, you will start to feel so powerful. You will start to literally speak up the way that you need to. You will let people know that you don't want to do something. You'll say no more confidently, and you will stand firm on the boundaries that you set. Have this problem with creating harmony as well. So sometimes you may try to create harmony in situations that you don't need to create harmony in. So that's also a shadow that the Lilith in Libra will have to face as well, is trying not to fix everything. Some things are meant to just be unfixed and unharmonious, unfortunately, because that's life. So that's where you will sit with those times where you are trying to fix things and just let it be. Scorpio Liliths, it is your turn. So this is a great Lilith placement to have once you are really embodying your dark feminine, because Scorpio is such a dark feminine energy to begin with. So I feel like this placement is kind of perfect to have. But I mean, that's just my opinion personally. I just feel like it just fits the dark feminine energy the best. But your guys' shadow side is the fear of control, like losing control of situations, right? Scorpio loves to control things. Scorpio likes to kind of manipulate situations as well. Lilith in Scorpio here, you probably have to sit with a lot of possessiveness and jealousy that you have within yourself. This possessiveness of other people and things, and it's all control based, right? So sitting in these shadows of all of that is going to be your best friend and going to help you out so much more, because once you let go of that fear of losing control, then you will start to step into your dark feminine. And when you're not embodying that jealousy and possessiveness and all of those darker traits that comes with Scorpio, then you will instantly become more magnetic, because you're not exuding those insecurities anymore, right? You're going to be more unbothered and you're going to let things come to you, kind of like I said for Leo. Having a Scorpio placement is already kind of having like a secretive nature, right? Like someone who may not be telling the truth about some things. And I feel like Scorpio's shadow side is someone who is hiding things a lot, right? Which ultimately is kind of lying. In a sense, I feel like Libras get the rep of being the liars, but I also, in my experience, has, seen a lot of lying on Scorpio ends as well. So the shadow side that you guys also have to work on is keeping too many things under wraps. I know that dark feminine energy is about being more secretive, right? However, when it is manipulating and controlling in a bad sense, that's when you kind of have to discern, am I doing this out of selfishness? Am I doing this out of my own control and jealousy and possessiveness? Like that's kind of something that you have to start discerning, because you don't want to hurt people in that sense, right? You don't want to hurt yourself either, right? Holding in so much is also suppressing things, right? Like when you're suppressing things, that's going to manifest negatively in a lot of different ways. So that's why you also want to make sure that you're not suppressing things that need to be coming out, because dark feminine energy is also about releasing anything negative as well. But that is also for you to discern what is to be shared and what is not to be shared. There's ways to release things without telling the world, right? Without telling everyone what your business is. You can do shadow work to release all these things, like taking a piece of paper, writing down all this stuff and burning it. Once Scorpio steps into their dark feminine energy, then you guys are like the epitome of dark feminine energy. Secretive in the right way, seductive, just mysterious, but not too mysterious. I feel like once you guys find the balance, you guys are perfect for the dark feminine energy. Sagittarius Lilith. So the shadow side that you guys probably have to work with is a lot of fear of commitment, but also this impulsivity, right? This impulsivity that may not serve you the best. Thing is, having a placement here means that you're probably very blunt and very vocal about things, which is in a sense dark feminine, right? But it comes to a point where you have to use your discernment with what you are being blunt with, because sometimes it is distasteful. And I think that Sagittarius has to work with a lot of shadows of crossing other people's boundaries as well. So this is where you're just going to have to sit in the shadows of maybe taking a little bit more control, right? Unlike Scorpio, where there's too much control, Sagittarius, I believe, has to get a little bit more control under their skin, because this is not mysterious energy. This is not dark feminine if you're not mysterious at all. So that's kind of something that Sag Liliths have to work with. Once you guys do break free from those shadow sides though, then you're ultimately free, right? So Sagittarius is the sign of freedom. Like, it's literally represented by a man on a horse with a bow and arrow. They're the truth seekers. They are usually not people that are bound to any chains. So when you're in your dark feminine and you're ultimately alchemizing all those things that are in your shadow side and all the pains that you have been through, then you're ultimately free. And that is exactly what a Sagittarius Lilith will need. You have to break free from the own things that you're caging yourself in with, right? Just considering what you say with more discernment, to use your words in a more witty and thoughtful way as well. That is what is going to really set you free. We move on to Capricorn, Lilith and Capricorn. Your shadow side, kind of like Scorpio, is also being a little too controlling. You might be very bossy of everything and everyone in your life, and that is the shadow that you ultimately have to work with. The thing is, when you're very controlling, you're also very demanding as well, and this might be rubbing off the wrong way. And this is not very dark feminine, because dark feminine is not about having excessive control. It is also about letting things be and also working within your favor, right? Sit in the shadow of this. You just have to start letting people do things without you having control over all those things. You also don't need to be responsible for everything either. Like, this is letting go of your own responsibility or thinking that you need to be responsible for everything. So it is ultimately just letting go that you have to work with, is just letting things kind of be, kind of like I said with Virgo. Like, you just have to let things kind of be. And like I said, for all the earth sides, go out in nature. Feel the earth, feel nature. And that's very healing. Once you guys are in your dark feminine, ultimately, you will have that power that does not need to be so like out there, right? It's not like attention seeking power. It is power that comes naturally. It is very magnetic. It is mysterious in a way, but not attention seeking. So that's ultimately what you would like to get to. Lilith in Aquarius, I feel like your guys' shadow that you have to work on is being very stubborn and wanting things to go in your way and your way only. I feel like since this is a fixed sign as well as Scorpio and Taurus, Leo, all of you guys struggle with this stubbornness and wanting things to go in your way and not letting things be in a way. Aquarius loves to stand out. Aquarius is such a unique sign. Like, you guys are truly like such unique people, and that's what makes Aquarius Aquarius. Like, you guys are rebels, but rebels that are also humanitarian. So having a Lilith here is to ultimately step into that rebel energy, right? To be that, you also have to work with your shadow side, and that's how you will get what you want. That's how you will stick out in your own unique way. Sitting in your shadow requires you to look at if you're criticizing people too much, telling people what to do, just overexerting yourself in situations as well. Ultimately, as an Aquarius Lilith, just be yourself, and that is when you will truly step into your dark feminine era, is when you find yourself and completely be yourself, and you will find somebody that will truly enjoy you for who you are, right? There's always somebody that's out there that's going to love you for who you are, and that is very important with Aquarius placements, any Aquarius placement. Having a Lilith here and embodying your dark feminine also means that you don't need to fit into any boxes, right? I feel like a shadow side that Lilith placements with Aquarius, or Lilith in Aquarius, might have is that they might actually think that they do need to fit into all these boxes that they don't need to be in. So that is where you'll just start to recognize your own uniqueness and your own power, and that's when you will truly step into your dark feminine. Wow, we are finally on the last one, and that is Lilith in Pisces. So with your guys' shadow sign, having a Lilith here means you might have a problem with taking accountability for things. Pisces is such an escapist sign, right? So they are the daydreamers, the escapists, and a lot of Lilith and Pisces tend to escape from the own problems that they cause, or just problems surrounding them in general, and taking accountability for their actions. So with this Lilith placement, this means you have to sit in the shadow of actually accepting what is in your 3D reality, because Pisces likes to escape to different realities. So this means taking in what your current reality is, accepting it, seeing where you have went wrong in situations instead of running away from it, because this placement loves to just run away from situations, and that's what we don't want to be doing, right? To sit in your dark feminine is to sit in your shadows, is to sit in the things that make you uncomfortable, and that's ultimately what will make you powerful. Because Pisces is like an ultimate like manifester, right? You guys are very in tune in that way. So once you really channel that and get into your dark feminine, you're ultimately going to be manifesting everything you want. That was my video on dark feminine energy and sitting in these shadows with your Lilith placement. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and please let me know what other videos you would like to see, because I would love to make more astrology content, so I can keep that coming. But thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and thank you so much. I love you.